This lesson is on volume of polygonal prisms, which is pages 48 to 50. Polygon is basically a two-dimensional shape with any number of sides. So when we have a polygonal prism, it's going to be a prism with two congruent polygons on each side. So we'll open up to look at a few examples. The basic formula for finding the volume of a polygonal prism is you need to calculate the area of the base, and then you need to multiply that whole area by the height of the prism. So, if we are dealing with a rectangular prism, and we know that the base is 4 by 6, and the height is, or the length going up is 8. So, our first step is to find the area of the base. So, the area of the rectangle is going to be 4 by 6, right? Because this is our base. So 4 times 6, and then we need to multiply it by the height, basically the other dimension. So we'd multiply that by 8, right? So 4 times 6 is 24, times 8 we could figure out is 160 plus 32, so I'm going about 192. So if these were centimeters, it would be centimeters cubed. For a triangular prism, we're going to be dealing with basically the same types of numbers. So we need the area of the base times the height. So if I draw you the base of a triangle, and let's say that this is 4 centimeters, this is 3 centimeters, and it's going to go up 5 centimeters. My first step is to find the area of the base. So that's going to be the triangle shape, not the rectangles. So to find the area of a triangle, what do I need to do? The area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So in this case, the base would be 4, the height would be 3, and then I'd need to divide that by 2. So that gives me 12 divided by 2, which is 6. Now my height is 5. So if I have area of the base times height, that's going to be 6 times 5, which gives us 30 centimeters cubed. They might get you to deal with several different types of shapes. For instance, if you have a rectangle with a triangle coming out of it as the base, right? So they might say that this is 4, 5, and the whole top is 6. So to do this, to get the area of the base times the height, they're showing you the area of the base here. So we need to figure out the rectangle plus this little right triangle. So the dimensions for the rectangle are 4 by 5, so that gives us an area of 20. The triangle is going to have an up and down height here that matches the other side of the rectangle. So it will be 4, and then to figure out how much comes across, we just need to take apart the 5 from the 6, right? So this would be 1. So a triangle is going to be 4 times 1 divided by 2, which is 4 over 2, which is 2. So now we need to add them together. 20 plus 2 equals 22. So that's the area of our base. 22 times, and I might just tell you, okay, it has a height of 3. So then we'd multiply it by 3. So it would have 66 centimeters cubed. When you have a shape where they have equal sides that run parallel to each other, we call this a parallelogram. How do you figure out the area of a parallelogram? So to figure out the area of this base, it's just going to be base times height, which in this case the base is 7 and the height is 5. So it would give you 35. Now you'd still have to multiply by the height of the shape. The reason it works is because if we took off this little triangle and we put it over here, it would now make a new rectangle that is a 5 by 7 rectangle. So it's like we just cut off a piece and moved it over. So it's just base times height. So the length across the bottom times the height going perpendicular straight up and down. The next shape we might have to find the area of is a hexagon. Now the best way to look at this is to actually think of it as a rectangle with 2 triangles on it, right? So if we have the distance across from one point to the other is 9, but in the middle it's 5, and the height of the whole thing is, let's say, 7, right? So first we could deal with one little triangle. So what would the dimensions of the triangle be? If we have base times height divided by 2. So this would become 7 times 2 divided by 2, because the 7 is this bottom part. Even though it's tilted to the side, it's going perpendicular to the height from the tallest point to the bottom. So that would give us 7. And then the 2, we can break the 9 up into 2, 5, and 2. So the height is 2. So that would give us 14 out of 2, which is 7. So each little triangle is 7. And then how would we find the rectangle in the middle? The rectangle would be 5 by 7, because we'd have the bottom, and then we've already looked at this line going up and down is 7. So that would be 35. So now I need to add the triangle is 7 plus the rectangle is 35, and the other triangle is 7. So altogether that gives us 49. Now this only gives you the area of the base. You would still need to multiply it by the height of the prism. Now, a trapezoid is a shape where the top and the bottom are running parallel to each other, but they're separate lengths, and the angles that we have in the 2 sides that are coming up are kind of the same, right? They're opposite angles. So for this one, just like when we had some of the other ones, we need to just break it into 2 triangles and a rectangle in the middle, okay? Now for some of them, they will ask you to estimate first. So you could estimate and think of this as 7, but then when you calculate, you'll need to do 7.3, right? So for our triangle, if this is 4 and the whole thing is 6, that means we have an extra 1 on each side. So it'd be 1 times 7.3 over 2, which should give us about 3.65, I'm guessing. And then our rectangle in the middle, well, times 2 would give us 7.3. And then our rectangle is 4 times 7.3, which gives us 29.2. So once we add those together, that should give us our total area of 36.5 centimeters squared. If we're just talking the area of the base. Once we multiply it by the height, then it is cubed.